this morning. Had a meeting at my daughter's school going over her plan for next year, and a few other things I needed to take care of in the morning. Um, Tomorrow, I get to see the anatomy of my baby, of my kid that I'm having at the end of the year. Very, very, very excited to see it. It's been very active. It's been giving my girlfriend some flutters in her tummy, and that's something that, you know, makes me happy knowing that it's growing healthy and it's growing in the right way. Um, so I don't know how long I'm gonna be on stream for. I'll probably be on stream for about 20, 25 minutes, maybe 30. It just depends on you know, on the traffic on the way to work. Even though like right now there's not a lot of traffic on the way to where I work at, but I want to make sure that I drive safe on the freeway. This is why I do streams at night, or I do drive home streams and I just take the back road so I can actually interact with everybody. But as you see in the title of this stream, Marc Cucurella now looks like he's set to leave in the summer, regardless of the conversations he has with um Xabi Alonso or not. I think he's all but gone. I think he's already has his mind set away from the club, and you can tell that by the performances he's been putting in since January. And it came out this morning. I opened up my Instagram feed. The first thing I see is breaking news on Marc Cucurella, basically insinuating that he's been unhappy since Enzo Maresca left in January, and he was one of the players that was most affected by it. And I've been on stream, I've been on record, as a guy that has publicly defended that manager because of the identity I felt the club had under him. But my whole thing is now we're 5, 6 months past that point, and I feel like a lot of these players now really need to start moving on from that. Um, you have a new manager in here. You had a PE teacher as a manager at one point in the season, and obviously the players didn't respect him. They weren't trying to play for him. And Marc Cucurella specifically, you can see the performances on the pitch have just dipped significantly. And at this point, I'm gonna just say this now. You just need to leave, bro. I mean, if you're still this upset that he's not there anymore, then honestly, bro, you can go ahead and either go to Man City, go to Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. It doesn't really matter, bro, because we need players at the club that are actually looking to play for the badge, right? That are actually looking to play for the fans. And you can tell, like, even when we score goals, he's not necessarily like the most excited anymore, right? And I just think mentally he's somewhere else. Like he doesn't want to be here anymore. Um, I think he's one of the players that you can probably get a decent transfer fee for. He only has 2 years left on his contract anyway, and what this ownership has proven is they don't want players to run down their contract or get down to their last year of the contract. So you need to sell Marc Cucurella. You need to find a buyer for him immediately, whether it's Man City, whether it's Atletico Madrid, whether it's a Barcelona. You need to get him off of this team. I think Joao Hata will now be the starting left back going into next season, and that's for a good reason. He deserves more playing time. He's been one of the better players in this squad for the better part now of this entire 2026 year, right? What's going on, bro? How you doing? Um, Again, it's now at one point he was regarded as one of the best left backs in the Premier League. Now he's regressed so much that it's laughable to even put him in that conversation, right? So, how much money should Chelsea ask for in terms of a transfer fee for him? They bought him from Brighton in 2020 or 2022 for about 62 million. At the time, it looked like a ridiculous deal to make, but he's somewhat justified. Where do I work? I work at a retirement home, bro. And he's somewhat justified the transfer fee somewhat, but given over the past 6 months how bad he's been, Chelsea should honestly be asking for about 40 million, in my opinion, for his services. Um, Now, do Barcelona and Atleti try to get him for that price? I think so. I think Barcelona can feasibly make that deal happen. I think Atletico Madrid can make that deal happen. Manchester City don't have a problem with getting the players that they want. And if Enzo Maresca, who's set to take charge at Man City, wants Marc Cucurella, I do feel like they can get him. But Nico O'Reilly has looked like he can be a stalwart in that position anyway. Even though he does push up into midfield a bit more, generally when I've seen him play, he's playing down that left-hand side, pushing up into midfield. Kind of like what Marc Cucurella does under Enzo Maresca, where he was that other inverted option next to Caicedo, depending on which side of the ball or whatever side the ball was on. If it was on the right side, you saw Marc Cucurella pinch in. If it was on the left-hand side, you saw Reece James tuck into that spot, right? But I think Marc Cucurella is all but gone in the summer. And that's fine with me. At one point, he was one of the most consistent players in the team. Now he can't find consistency for more than 10 minutes. Antoine Semenyo gave him a torrid time in the FA Cup, bro. In the FA Cup final. And he's had a torrid time, honestly, this whole second half of the season. It's mainly because I think he's mentally gone. I think the ability is there. I think the talent is there. I think the technical ability somewhat is there, even though it can improve. But again, he's also in his time at the club scored pretty important goals for us, particularly last season, the goal against Leicester, the goal against Manchester United, right? The great defensive performances against players like Mo Salah, the great defensive performances against Lamine Yamal, Bukayo Saka, right? Like those kind of players where he's locked them down somewhat. He's had a few hiccups in those games as well, but again, I do feel like you need to sell them off in the summer. Players that don't want to be here or players that aren't good enough to be in the squad need to leave, right? And this leads me to the whole João Pedro thing, right? You're seeing a lot of Barcelona pages really ramp up this story about how Barca will come in for about 100 million, and it's like I don't know where they're getting that money from at this point. Unless they sell players like, a Hermin Lopez and shit. I know they're gonna try to get a Marcus Rashford there on a permanent deal. I think Marcus Rashford, bro. I'm gonna say this now. I think that scenery from Man United to Barcelona has honestly reinvigorated his entire career. Right, he scores that wonderful free kick in El Clasico a couple weeks ago, which basically, for me, confirmed that Barcelona want to sign him on a permanent deal. They should get that deal done. I think Marcus Rashford is going to blow up even more at Barcelona than he ever did at Manchester United. Um, but going back to João Pedro, Alonso is supposed to have a conversation with them to see if he does want to stay. Now, he's only been at the club for one season, right? So, does that give him a right to leave early? If he wants out, then you need to engineer a move for him away. Because I also did see this morning, and it's being reported from multiple people that Neymar has suffered another injury, bro. Do you see what I'm saying about how he's there for the nostalgia factor rather than actually helping Brazil win the World Cup or get deep in this tournament? It's just an extra spot taken up the where João Pedro could have been in that World Cup team. Like that's what I'm saying is like I don't understand why Neymar was included in the first place. It's given that of his history with the Brazilian national team and all that, and that's fine. I understand it. If you're picking him based off nostalgia factor, I understand it. But in terms of the actual what the squad needs, I don't think Neymar was necessary, honestly. And it may be crazy to say that, but at 34 years old and you can't stay fit, you're picking up consistent injuries and you're not even consistent on the pitch anymore. I never saw a reason for him to really be selected in the squad. Um so João Pedro to Barcelona is something that we should be taking a real close eye on because if he wants out, I think Chelsea will sell him. And it'll be a huge blow. I think it would be Now, I don't know if it'll be a bigger blow of him leaving than if Enzo Fernandez wants to push for a move away to a Madrid. But again, I think when you lose your top scorer, you lose your guy that's contributed the most in the team this season. I think that is a very big loss. And who do Chelsea go and replace João Pedro with, right? I don't know if they make the right selection in that, right? If you sell João Pedro, you absolutely have to bring back a Nico Jackson into the squad. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people talk about um Omega, right? I don't know if he's the answer, bro. He's only played 5 games this season, or 9 games this season. Not necessarily. And I know he's been dealing with injuries and all that, but still, I don't think it's necessary to bring him in. I think you need to look to sell him, bro. And you need to, like, for Chelsea to take that next, for Chelsea to get back to the pinnacle of the Premier League, they need to score in the Premier League, bro. Stress this enough is that if you have a scorer in the team that is just, you ask him to just score goals. That's what this team needs. They need a finisher. They need a clinical finisher. They need a guy that is just ruthless in the box. João Pedro is clinical, right? But you keep João Pedro, but if you sell him, you need to go get somebody that is actually ruthless in the box. What do all the best teams in the world have, right? Erling Haaland, right? What is that? Finishing those opportunities and just not caring about how the other team feels. Putting the ball in the back of the net is something that a center forward needs to be able to do. It's instincts, right? You're not taught that. You either have it or you don't. If you don't have the instincts in the box to be clinical, you're not going to score goals. João Pedro has that instinct in the box, in my opinion, to put the ball away. The ability to drive past players, the ability to slow the game down, and that's why I call him a smooth operator. You're able to play at your own pace, no matter how quickly that game is going. Right? The perfect example of this is the run he had against Liverpool a couple weeks ago, where he beats 3 or 4 players and he's playing at his own pace. The ability to stop the ball on a dime and assess your options, right? The great thing about João Pedro is that not only is he a good finisher and a clinical finisher, he's able to link up with his wingers and he's able to link up with your attacking midfield player. And say he goes to Barcelona, Marcus Rashford, Rafinha, Lamine Yamal, all these players are going to be much better players. They're going to be exceptional players if João Pedro was in their squad. But for me personally, I don't want to see him sold. I want to see him stay. But if he says I want out, Chelsea will sell. And Chelsea will try to get the maximum value. Now, we got him from Brighton for about 62 million or whatever. Chelsea need to look to at least get 100 million. And I'm not talking euros, I'm talking pounds, bro. In pounds. Right? You need to be able to get the maximum value for that. And is Barcelona gonna have that kind of money? I don't believe so. So this is why I feel like all the Spanish reports that we're seeing is just trying to gauge how desperate Chelsea are to get some type of transfer funds in, right? And then going on to Enzo Fernandez, I don't necessarily think he's leaving, but I think there's a 60-40 chance that he does stay, right? What the guy wants is a new and improved contract where he's one of the highest paid players in the squad, and he absolutely deserves it, right? Our most creative player in the team, a guy that will take a risk, a guy that will make those line breaking passes, a guy that is technical, a guy that's not physical. But this is why you build players, you put the midfielders around him. You're going to see why he's world class. You're going to, like, you don't have 16 goals and 10 assists if you're not world class, bro. Like, to get double digit goals and assists as a number 8, those are world class numbers. And anybody who says otherwise doesn't pay attention to how Enzo plays. And I keep on trying to tell you, everybody, this, that the slander that the brother was getting at the beginning of the season, middle part of the season, and even still now, you guys need to rest on that, right? Because if he goes to Real Madrid and he's playing alongside a Tchouaméni, of Valverde, right? If he's playing around those players, he's going to look exceptional, even better than he did this season. And Chelsea were shit for more than half the season, man. And he was one of the standout players. He's in World Cup form right now. The World Cup is coming up in 3 weeks, right? He's getting himself ready for that. I don't think he's thinking about a move away, but if the opportunity arises and Real Madrid come knocking, it's very hard for a player to say no to that, right? Once the saying of when Real Madrid come knocking, it's very hard to say no. I think that will apply to Enzo if they actually make a bid for him and he sees the amount of money and he sees the contract because Real Madrid will be able to pay him the contract that he's looking for. But will Chelsea try to convince him to stay on a new and improved, no incentive based contracts? And that's the problem with this ownership, is that they do incentive based contracts and bonuses. And this is why a lot of players don't end up wanting to stay at the club, particularly under this ownership, man. Um, but again, we'll see what happens over the summer, man, because it's going to be very interesting to see what moves are actually made and if we have the money to even do it. Like, you're going to have to sell players. In my opinion, you don't have to sell any of the big players to get transfer funds. It's just a matter of who you're bringing in when you sell the deadwood in the team. And the players like Marc Cucurella, who's basically desperate to leave at this point, right? You sell Garnacho, you sell Gittins, you sell Liam Delap, you sell West, you sell Malo Gusto, you sell Jorgensen. You got to sell these players in order to get transfer funds. And I didn't mention Cole Palmer, Enzo, João Pedro, Caicedo for a reason, because those are the players you want to build your team around. And you need to build the team in the right way this time around, because if it doesn't work this time around, there's going to be major conversations about where this money is really going, for one, and two, it's not going to be Alonso's fault. The issue has never been with the managers that have come into this club. Even though people love to blame Enzo Maresca for being a cancerous snake, I'm not going to be that guy. I would understand if you're getting micromanaged, your team is being tinkered with, and then you're not getting help from the board. I understand why you left, but the way that he did leave is not the way to do it. So that's what I got to say on that. Um, as we know, Arsenal won the Premier League, and it's been a torrid time, bro. Like, I have my friend that keeps on texting me about the Arsenal winning the league and stuff, man. Congratulations, bro. Like, congratulations, man. Like, I'm not happy that you won it, but I'm happy that you're feeling happy, bro. Right? I'm happy that they finally, for you, got the job done. But outside of that, man, like, we'll see if they can be as consistent as they were this season next season, right? The most important thing here is, like, can they replicate what they did this season next season? I think they'll be able to get better players into the squad now, especially if they win the Champions League, bro, which is going to be, I don't even want to think about that. But Arsenal will attract great players in the summer transfer window, and they're going to be even more difficult to break down next season. But next season, I feel like they will get a few red cards. They will concede a few penalties, which they didn't do all season, really. So, in the league, rather, right? In the Champions League, yes, they did. But in the Premier League, they didn't pick up a red. They didn't concede a penalty. Nothing, man. And that's how you win silverware, right? You don't make mistakes in the back. You don't pick up stupid yellow cards, get double yellows, and then you're off, and then you're sent off. This is why great teams win Premier League titles. Now, is this Arsenal team one of the greatest Premier League teams of all time? Absolutely not. The fact that Arsenal fans are actually saying that, they're just a prisoner of the moment. They've won the Premier League, and that's fine. I understand it. But let's also be honest here. The top end of the table this time around, outside of Manchester City, who were the closest competitors, the top two were clear of everyone else. If Liverpool were consistent this season, if Man United actually got off to a good start at this part of the season, if Chelsea didn't drop off the way that they dropped off this season, you can make an argument it could have been a 5-team race. Which I've always said, at some point the top four in the title race will go hand in hand. But I don't know if you're going to see that anytime soon because Arsenal and Man City are so far ahead of everybody else right now. Liverpool just had a bad season, but I think they're going to be about the same. But I've seen reports too that they've sacked Arne Slot. I don't believe that. I want to see the official confirmation from the club itself. But I just think it's Liverpool fans that are just upset that Alonso came to Chelsea. Like I said, bro, I'm drinking your tears over that right now, man. I'm drinking those tears because you guys had a chance to sack Arne Slot earlier in the season, even in the beginning of the season or midway through the first half of the season, and you didn't do it. That's on your ownership, bro. That has nothing to do with Chelsea being aggressive and trying to get Alonso through the door. Now that he's here on a 4-year deal, you guys are going to have to watch him try to rebuild Chelsea to where it should be, right? Chelsea should be challenging for the next title drop that we're looking at here is Manchester United of going on 13 years. The next in line on that are these lot. They've got to figure it out, man. And I do agree with the fact that Blueco have enabled Arsenal to win the Premier League, bro. I do believe that. When you spent 2 billion and Arsenal have spent 1 billion investing into the squad, the difference is Arsenal's recruitment is completely different. They know who they want. They've identified players that will fit Arteta's system. This ownership is just trying to recruit young players, and most of them will never see the first team. And that's the problem that a lot of Chelsea fans have is the recruitment model, bro. Hopefully, under Alonso, maybe not, we'll see some type of difference in who they recruit. But again, we need to see these players holding up the jersey, putting pen to paper. That's what we need to see. Otherwise, I'm not going to believe any of the players that we're linked with, man. I'm just, you know, we've been lied to so many times. We've been promised so many signings coming through the door, all the media briefs, all the PR from your David Ornsteins, your Fabrizio Romanos. You feel me? All those players. I mean, like all those journalists or whatever, all those media reporters. But at the end of the day, this club, in order to get back to where it's supposed to be, needs to recruit established players of quality that can come in now and make this team better. No more buying these 17-year-old kids, 16-year-old kids from Africa and Asia or, South America. The only exception to this is Esteval, and we know his quality. We know what he can do, right? It's just a matter of can they be consistent enough? And hopefully Esteval, hopefully I'm praying, man, this brother gets the surgery that is needed because he shouldn't be dealing with hamstring injuries at 18 years old, man. Like we've seen Reece James for majority of his career battle hamstring injuries, right? Hopefully he gets that surgery and he's able to come back at some point next season fit and ready to go. But outside of that, a couple last things I'm gonna touch on here. I'll probably do a lunchtime stream, see what else has been going on. I haven't uploaded shorts in a few days. I'm trying to steer away from shorts for a little bit. And I just want to do regular content like streams and videos. Um, and yeah, man, I mean, again, Marc Cucurella is all but set to leave at the end of this season, in my opinion. I think he's going to one of the three clubs I mentioned, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, or Manchester City. Um, João Pedro, is linked with the move away to a Barcelona, but again, is Barcelona going to have the transfer funds to even do it? I don't believe so. Enzo Fernandez, we'll see what happens with him. We'll see after the World Cup if he's still in Chelsea blue or if he makes that sensational move to Madrid. But I need to get out of here. I need to head off to work. It's about 10:23 my time out here in California. Everybody else, enjoy your day. Enjoy your family. Spend time with your loved ones. It's getting more and more nice out here in the world in terms of how like the weather's looking, I guess. So just enjoy your time. Go outside, take a walk, do what you guys have to do. But until then, I'm Jason. No Flip the Chels. Drop a like, comment, sub, share the stream, do what you guys have been doing, and I'll see you guys in a little bit, probably on lunch, where I talk about other things that not maybe some football topics, but try to talk about some other things as well. I'll see you guys soon.